Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Contest of Speed Tier 2. We are live from Mexico for the final round of Season 7. Round 11, the Drivers' Championship wound up last week with Tom Robbo taking victory, but there's still the Constructors to be decided. Ferrari are the champions-elect, but AlphaTauri can still stop them, although they would need results to go their way. Joel's alongside me this evening, back in the booth. Nearly raced tonight, to be fair.
Yeah, but I decided I'll do the commentary.
Yeah.
I fancy it after last night.
Taking a fair while coming out of the pits there, drivers tonight, so we might have some interesting weather. And seeing as he's the first man out, shall we do some housekeeping, Joel?
Go for it. Heavy rain in the race, apparently.
Oh, things just got exciting.
Unless that's Matt having us on.
Oh, it won't be. He'll be livid. So yeah, that makes things very interesting. So then, housekeeping. We have a fair few drivers missing tonight. Thankfully, all of whom that can be replaced have been. So, first up, Lil Spark in the McLaren. I'm going to be calling him Spark for tonight because Lil does not suit my middle class sensibilities. And I apologise for that. But it's true. I've also just gone through a very stressful 2 hours. And I don't want to have to think too much. Yep, filling in for Perez, who has been suspended pending league review. This has been the final race. It will probably be the end of the suspension, but we'll have to wait and see. And we'll watch as Spark goes for his first lap in anger in Contest of Speed. Just whilst we watch, heavy braking for turn 1. It's the other reserve / new drivers. Tiago in the AlphaTauri. He's in that seat permanently now in place of Thomas. You've got Ali B in the Haas. He's replacing Emir tonight. Ricky in the other Haas is banned for crashing before the start-finish line at the end of last week's race in Azerbaijan. It's a very fine line. If you crash before the start-finish line, you get a penalty. If you crash after it, that's fine. Mainly because bringing out the yellow flags at the end of a race could affect someone, especially at Baku, going for that last-ditch overtake. We've got Thogbird as the other man stepping in the Alfa Romeo, taking Stumpy's place tonight, which unfortunately will seal Stumpy's relegation to EU2 for next season. It's an unfortunate one, I'm afraid. The other two men who are looking at the drop, Joel, if I'm not mistaken, are Tichy and the Wizard, the brothers Riley. Yeah, as Ali B, one of the other reserve drivers for tonight, he takes the fastest lap, quickly usurped by Snipes by almost a second.
That's, Snipes has certainly stamped down his foot. With that banker lap, that's quite impressive. The question I'm going to have though, Joel, as KV pumps in a 14.4 to go third fastest, is what setup are these guys going to go for? Well, we saw it in Austria. The likes of Snipes, I believe, was actually one of them who looked to be, by their quality times, running dry setups. And again here, I would be very, very impressed if that, as a banker lap, is on a wet setup. I think a lot of the drivers in here believe that the wet setup is actually quite overrated, and obviously a wet setup comes with a higher wing, and with a lower wing you're just not going to get overtaken. And I guess you can, as Tom Robert has
retired in the pit lane. Our newly crowned champion of EU2. I would imagine he's going to try and go for a last to first challenge.
Yeah, that'll be some feet people that off in the way.
Yeah, so we see Thogbird there cut the S's to invalidate his lap. Let's jump across then to one of the men who could be sealing his promotion tonight, which is Arbar. That's the two championship protagonists, so Tom Robbo and Snipes, they've both secured their positions in the championship. They will be going up to EU1 next season, all being well. Third place is still in the balance with Ricky and Arbar fighting for that one. So we see Jamie going to second place there, 13.7 for him.
Yeah, Arbar currently 22 points behind Ricky, so he would need something special to put himself up to that third spot tonight.
Well, he'd need to win, wouldn't he? Yeah. Arbar has to win tonight to secure that promotion. To secure that promotion, and Ricky being absent, it's like you say, giving him the best opportunity for that. But he's got some stiff competition that will be ahead of him.
Yeah, certainly.
Bean Sandwich as well, back tonight. Another man jumping across the pond to have a dabble with the European heavyweights.
Yeah.
And he'll be in the Mercedes. We'll jump on board with him a little bit later on. So, what are we thinking then? Generally speaking, what are we going to be looking for pole position tonight?
Well, it's hard to say because we don't know what setups people are running, but in the dry I would expect that, well, Tom Roberts retired, so we won't be seeing it from him, but I would maybe expect Snipes to be able to push himself into the high 12s, a 12.9 or even a 12.8 if he really pulls it out of the bag, so... Okay. Yeah.
Although, to be fair on that evidence, he's not far away from that already, so we might even be looking at potentially a 12.5 with track evolution if he hooks the lap on.
Yeah, that would be some lap if he could do that, though.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll see what he can do. Of course, it might be someone else. We've seen the likes of Jamie pull out qualifying performances before now, and Tom Robbo, of course, as well, and some of the other guys have got the potential. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I was thinking, who should we jump on board with next? Let's go with one of the racing points. Let's go with Lewis. Just coming round to start his laps. I think it's a good time to ride on board. We'll keep the timing and telemetry screen active as we run down the first straight towards the first complex of corners. Turns 1, 2 and 3. Goes a little bit narrow on the entry there, a little bit far to the right. Can take more. The curb runs very wide to get... I think he gets away with that, you know. Which I'm surprised at. Normally if you head over that curb you're in trouble. 4, 5 there, and now down to 6 and 7. Double apex right-hander. Short straight, and now we're into the S's. Does he lift? Oh, lifts right out of it. Has to drop a gear.
Yeah.
Heavy braking now for the stadium section. So the original circuit here went around the back of this baseball stadium, and in a IndyCar style oval circuit came back around here where we are now, through the final corner and across the line. 14.8 for Lewis.
Yeah,
puts him
I think
in
a lot
P10.
of that time was lost in the S section, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's that was quite a conservative lap, and I can imagine that he's gone for the banker there, and then the next time around we'll push a lot harder. The S is around here. I don't know if you found this, Joel, last night. If you get the line right and you hook them up, apart from an initial braking phase at the beginning, you can actually take them flat.
Yeah, with the right setup, certainly you can. Obviously, it's a bit like Madison Beckett's and those sort of sections where you get one wrong and
it throws you out for the rest of them.
Wrong. So, yeah.
We'll have to see if anybody can do that. A wizard into them now. Let's see if he can do it. Oh, lifts out quite a lot as well. Heavy lift for the wizard, but faster than Lewis's time through there, you'd imagine.
Yeah, I think it's also probably quite a big benefit to be on a wheel throughout an S section. a lot more precision and control over the steering inputs. So
yeah, a lot more feel as well for when the back end starts to step out. Wizard goes 11th.
Wizard and Lewis probably at a bit of a disadvantage there. Certainly Mexico, one of the tracks favoured for wheel drivers.
Yeah. Which is odd really, because normally you find the 90-degree circuits tend to be pad central, or pad centric rather.
Yeah.
So it's a novelty that they're not. Don Armo now into the S's. Let's see if he lifts. Little tiny lift, but the rest of it he can hold it. That's the best. That's the closest so far we've come to seeing someone take them flat out.
Yeah, he's on an out lap, so he's probably not running such high fuel or whatever, so probably not carrying as much speed.
Yeah. If it's any indicator of what's to come, we'll stay with him. And we'll see what can happen. Jamie has just set a new fastest Sector 3 time to improve to a 13.5.
Still quite a way off Snipes in terms of Formula 1 times anyway.
Yeah, 4/10 and 1,000th. He is away, which is a great yawning chasm. I think we discussed it last week. Is it 60 thousandths of a second it takes for your eyes to blink? So
yeah.
So in that you could blink 6 times between Snipes crossing the line and Jamie. Massive gap. Arbo improves to 3rd, 13.7. Although I think he's just invalidated actually on his current run, so he might not have improved.
Yeah, I was just on board now with Don Allen as he comes through the S's, and he did just take that all but flat. So
good man.
Yeah.
Commitment there from Don Allen. Yeah. Could be. Looking at his sector times, we could be looking potentially at a 13.5. This could put him right up near the front. Don Armo through the final corner then. Goes into P4 with a 13.6.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, and Don Armo is one of those drivers, if that heavy rain that we heard about earlier is happening, Don Armo is one of the guys we want to keep an eye out for. Yeah, very, very good in the wet.
Him, Arbar, probably Snipes as well.
Yeah.
Could be doing the business.
I'll tell you who has surprised me so far in qualifying. That's Timmy down in 19th place at the moment. He's not actually left the pit lane. Or if he has, he's not set a time yet. Thogbird's gone back out for another run on his outlap now, so we'll watch him have another crack at the Circuit de Hermanos Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think he's been out a couple times, so maybe he's struggled to keep a clean lap going.
I know, I struggled last night. I ended up having to do a one-shot qualifying at the end of the session, which didn't go well for me, to be brutally honest. Ended up putting me 13th, so he'll have a chance potentially for one more run after this if he can get himself around and back quick enough. Although if he's going to actually complete the lap, I don't think he will. So I'll take him another, give or take 3 minutes to get back to the pits. Oh, big cut there at turn 5, and he's going to have to box and go again. Oh, he's lost it. He's lost it though on the curb, on the exit there.
Yeah, very lucky.
Yeah, and
LEB's gone
in the S's. Yeah, we'll ride on board here. Let's see if we can spot the stricken Haas there on the left-hand side. As we see, Thogland should get back to the pits, carrying heavy damage there. And his teammate has just invalidated as I jumped to him there in the S's, Tichy. I would imagine that we might have both Alphas starting near the back of the pack. Timmy's still not out on track yet.
Yeah, I think that glitch might still be a thing with the gap between the commentators' timing and
it will be, yeah.
Driver's timing. So
Tichy's going again.
Quite a few.
So he clearly doesn't think he's got enough time to get in and out again, so he's going to have to try it on the same set of tyres.
Yeah, I think it's quite a short outlap here. probably get away with going on like the 2-minute mark or something. So see a couple drivers like Tiago and Matrix venturing out the pits now.
Yeah. See Titch's tyres not in the best of condition. He's not quite picking up the apexes that he would like. He's braking deep, trying to get every ounce of speed out of that car. It's not quite happening for him. All he needs to do is get through the S's successfully, and he should be able to set a time. He eases off at the back end steps. Makes it through there cleanly though, into the stadium. Oh, Tichy's gone! He's gone! Into the wall at the stadium. And that's going to be it for him. I wonder if he'll finish the lap to maybe get ahead of his teammate. Yep, he's going to finish the lap.
Now he just needs to be careful that he's not impeding any other laps.
We've got a Renault coming through now. That was Matrix, who we'll ride on board with now. Currently in P6 with a 13.9. Snipes, I believe, is he staying put or is that him coming out now?
No, he's still
in the
pits.
It's both Ferraris coming out of the pits. I think we're quite a long way behind, if I'm honest. Yeah. Wisey Boy has retired in the pits.
Yeah, what, maybe 2 minutes behind, so I guess.
Yeah, well, maybe potentially a minute, depending on how fine they want to cut it at Ferrari. A lot of drivers in there though, so maybe a little bit more than that, maybe close to 90 seconds. We'll soon find out if any of them don't make the line. I would say though now, Arvar has... I would say that's him finished with a 13.4. Matrix he's improved his middle sector, not in the first, so it's going to come down to his final sector. Does improve, but doesn't change position. Donamo goes 5th. No, he doesn't. He stays 5th.
Oh, wait.
I've just seen it flash up on screen and it's because he's invalidated. Tiago is the next man, and Tiago
is
going very slowly because he's run out of fuel, I think.
Yeah, or he's... Yeah,
I think he's just set that time. It's actually set the fastest third sector of anybody so far, so very, very good in the stadium, which would indicate a wet setup because of the downforce levels.
Yeah, certainly needs to be careful here, he's not getting in anyone's way, is he?
Yeah.
Yes, the Ferraris are doing a tow, I think. They've got a little bit of a tow going on here. Yeah, it's Timmy.
It's Timmy.
He's not set a lap and he's towing
his teammate.
So.
Bean goes 5th.
Yeah, nice lap from the Mercedes. I don't know where Timmy... Yeah, I don't... Well, I mean, unless Yono wins, Timmy's not got anything to play for in the championship, so maybe he's... Oh, Snipes invalidates in the S section, so...
Yeah, Timmy's...
something special happens, I think he will still be pole.
Looking at the timing screens, nobody's going to be getting close, apart from maybe Jamie, who's matched him roughly through Sector 1. Sector 2 is almost identical, so this could be close for Jamie. It's all going to come down to that final sector.
A bit of traffic in front from Matt, but Matt's got every right to be there.
Yeah, Jamie then does improve, but loses out in that final sector. Ended up...
Yono P2.
Good luck from him.
Nice job from the Red Bull.
Matt got himself to 10th. He'll be hoping that someone can improve, but I don't think there's anyone else left to do so. And he's going to be...
It's a wet start, so it doesn't really matter.
Good point.
Actually, I don't know whether it is a wet start. I know there's torrential rain, but...
Well, we'll have to see later on. So it's going to be Snipes then who takes pole position in Mexico for EU2, the final race of the season, putting himself in prime position to secure that Constructors' Championship, for Ferrari. Of course, if either of the Ferraris finish, what is going to be 6th or higher? It's guaranteed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, 6th or higher, or 5th in the fastest lap, I think. Then the Constructors' title is theirs. AlphaTauri need a 1-3 finish, assuming Ferrari don't score points at all. So Snipes then, as we say, on pole with Yorno in 2nd place and Jamie in 3rd. Another strong qualifier. Do you know, I seem to remember Jamie has a lot of good results around Mexico, so he might be worth watching. Arbar in 4th place, who needs to win the race to get himself promoted to EU1. Bean, Dynamo, Matrix, KV, Tiago and Matt complete the top 10, with Thogbird pulling out a lap for 11th, Ali B, Little Spark, Wisey Boy, Wizard, Lewis, Titchy, Tom Robbo, who is going for his last to first challenge, and Timmy at the back of the pack, having not set a time.
God.
Is it very wet?
It's definitely raining
Whoa,
at the start, yeah.
That's muchos wet.
Nice use of the native language.
Thank you. I like to integrate. No, I'm sorry if I say anything in Spanish and anyone is Spanish or speaks Spanish as a native tongue and I butcher it, I apologise. I'm much better with Italian. I know they're very similar, but I find it difficult to move away from the accent of Italian to the Spanish.
Yeah, so new news from the weatherman, torrential rain all race. So.
Nice. Classic EU2. This brings back memories for me. Season 3, if anybody can remember that one. Me and Mitch here in the Alfa Romeo, as well, Sauber as it was then. And Mitch was leading all the way and ended up getting a puncture late on as we waited for the call to change tyres. Ended up being a win for F1 Sophie, because he's only to this date and first female racer and winner. So, what do we think for tyres, Joel?
Well, yeah, I think we'll be starting on the soft. No.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah, it's the wet tyres, nothing else. So
it's going to be probably more a game of when to stop. Snipes there, back and kicking out on the formation lap.
I feel sorry for the guys running no racing line. I was on board with Snipes through turn 1, and you can't even see the curves hardly. It's so flat around this track.
And of course, that's Snipes out in front. Back end of that car is not happy. Really not. He's barely. He's gone! He's gone!
Formation lap.
He's gone! If this was really be out, but it's not, so he's fine.
Yeah, Max Verstappen-esque there.
Yeah.
Spinning on his way to the grid. Certainly one way to warm the tyres up.
Yeah, and wear them out at the same time. Let's ride on board with him, see if he can hold it through the S's. That would indicate a dry setup though as well, Joel, because he was barely at half throttle there, and the back end of that car said, no, I want to spin round like a pendulum.
Yeah, he could be in for a tricky race.
Just to add another twist to the constructors' battle. So he's currently behind Thogbird in P11 on track. The game will put him back to first place. Let's see if anybody can get a start. The starts in races like these are going to be even more important.
Yeah, who dares press the throttle down first?
Drivers running traction control will have an advantage, but not necessarily a definitive one. Setups will vary, of course, and so will the size of many people's cojones. But we shall see all that is to come. We know the drill by now, don't we? Let's look to the bottom right. The revs build. And away we go in Mexico. It looks like a good start from Snipes there, but Yorno as well got a good launch. Snipe get himself ahead, but will Yorno fight him down into turn one? He looks like it's going to go side by side. Arbar up to third behind that. Snipes chops across though, holds that position, but Yorno much tighter line. Will probably get the drive out of turn three. And I think he has. Not enough to get ahead though. Drivers behind. Lewis up 7 places off the start. What a drive from the Racing Point. Wow. Loses one there to Thuckbird and KV. So drop back down in a straight line. Still +6 now. Fighting with KV for P10.
Yeah, and a relatively clean start. We've seen no spinners yet. So yeah, they're all just working their way through this first lap.
Arbar the cheesy filling in that Mercedes sandwich. Let's see if he can fight his way forward to get ahead of Jamie Yorno though, keeping Snipes honest in these early stages.
Oh, and I think that's Ali B in the Haas I think had a little meeting with the wall possibly.
We can see damage on screen. I can confirm with Tass as well. Timmy also has damage.
Timmy, yeah, I wonder if that was a related incident. Possibly.
Jamie at the moment, the excuse me, cork in the proverbial bottle. Arbar tucked underneath the gearbox. 2.1 seconds already the gap to the leaders.
And look at Tom Robber already up into 13th.
Yeah, fighting Wisey Boy
now with Wisey Boy. He's going to burn a lot of ERS. He's going to have a run of Williams here, and I think they're going to be going. No, they're not going to go through wide.
Tom Robert down the inside of Matt, but Matt will hold little nudge there as he tries. There's no damage though. He's got away with that one.
Lucky not to get damaged there, if I'm being honest.
Arbar and James. Matt's tucked inside. Tom around the outside though will hold it through 4. Reverse the love tap through 5 and secure the position into 6.
Yeah, I think that's as good a racing as we can hope for in these sort of conditions.
Arbar meanwhile has cleared Jamie for 3rd place and now 3 seconds behind the leaders. Will go and try and hunt them down. I wonder if we'll see some multi 2-1 at Mercedes and allow Bean to pass. I think Ali B has lost it coming out of turn 3 as well. That might be more damage for the Haas man. No, he's still going.
Certainly not having.
Timmy's doing what he did in Baku last week and driving on with wing damage that he's picked up early on.
Yeah, and Snipes has. I mean, we were saying he was on a dry setup and it maybe wouldn't work very well in the wet, but he's proven us wrong here.
Well, he had a poor start, and I think that was Yorno's chance there. He really needed to commit to get ahead of the Ferrari. The other point to note, though, is that Yorno is using much less ERS than the man ahead of him. And if Snipes is using that to pull away, that could come back to bite him later down the line. Bean has managed to get ahead of his teammate, and now Don Armo is chasing down the Mercedes with Matrix in hot pursuit.
Yeah, as Lewis becomes the first driver to get a time penalty.
Pillock.
We've seen quite a lot of them today.
And Lewis there making a mistake, I think. Lost 2 places to Tom Robbo and to KV, although he's fought back against the Red Bull of KV.
Yeah, Tom Roberts had a great opening few laps, already putting himself inside the points.
P10 up 8 places off the start. The main winner there, along with Lewis, up 5. Big losers then are Ali B down 7, of course, with his early wing damage, and KV down 4.
Yeah, Ziono's now closed back in. So Snipes, I wonder whether he's maybe burnt a bit of ARS or he's simply just found a bit of comfort in his tyres and is now starting to press the possible setup advantage.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look then. Snipes currently at around 80% ERS. Yorno the same, so I think Snipes has stopped burning, and that's allowed Yorno to potentially close back in.
Snipes is underfueled as well, so he's probably running lean for a lot of the track. Oh, it's a big double lock up there.
Yeah, we were looking
Mexico,
backwards on Yorno's car and we heard that lock up, that little squeal. For the robber complaining.
Yeah, in these conditions you can't even put the brake down 100% without the tyres locking up. So it's almost impossible to avoid.
Yeah. Something else that we might need to bear in mind, Snipes burning through his tyres quicker than his main challenger. The full wet tyre we'd expect to probably make half race distance without much of a problem, so lap 18.
Yeah.
At the moment, though, both leaders looking as though they might have to two-stop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a two-stop is a viable strategy at all. I mean, what, Snipes is on 25% as his worst tyre now, so he'll get this tyre at least to lap 10, and then they have to two-stop.
I think 12 lap stints might be the way to go here. If someone commits to that early and pushes the tyres, which it might be what the leaders are doing, then that could be a beneficial route to go if they commit to that early, potentially getting the undercut on the opposition.
Yeah, certainly.
Jumping back though into the mid-pack, we've got Thogbird closing in on Tiago, both COS esports drivers, teammates normally, but here competitors. And they've got Tom Robbo behind for company as well. And I wonder if Tiago might play the team game here.
It's possible, as I've just seen Timmy managed to make an overtake with some amount of wind damage, which is quite impressive, especially in these conditions.
He's lost approximately 20% of his overall downforce with the damage that he's got at the moment. And to be able to overtake him, well, with that kind of damage is impressive, actually.
Yeah, it certainly is.
I'm just looking at TAS now. We've officially entered storm conditions. So if anyone wants to play the collector's edition, keep an eye out for lightning strikes. And they can happen. I have seen them rarely.
Yeah, and I think you can get safety cars on this game, can't you?
You can for extreme weather, so that could be a cat amongst said pigeons.
Spice things up, that's for sure.
Or just sterilise it completely, which...
Yeah.
Swings and roundabouts. KV still behind Lewis.
Yeah, it has become a little bit of a parade here around Mexico. People taking it cautious, not wanting to ruin their race only 6 laps in.
So it's a very, very long way to go. We're only 1/6 of the way through the race. The thing with a race like this, if it's going to stay heavy rain for the whole duration, it's going to be a test of concentration and the mental ability, much more than the physical talent of being able to get a car around the track quickly, which everybody in here has. It's the concentration that you need to be able to just keep that thing on the island and keep it going quickly. I mean, it is mentally draining.
Yeah, it is. 36 laps is quite a long Grand Prix, and while obviously the distance is probably the same as similar to a track like Belgium, you do get bored of seeing the same corners 36 times rather than 22 as you would at Belgium, so it can become quite a mental test. But
that's when you get different. I don't know about you, Joe, but personally, anyway, I understand that there's different kinds of mental focus that people go for. I mean, personally, I'm one that gets into a mental state where it's almost trance-like. I don't really notice everything around. It's just lap after lap after lap.
Yeah.
And then you get some people who get really hyped up and they're like, yeah, come on, and then they have to physically express that energy as they're driving, which, I mean, neither is right and neither is wrong, but I suppose different methods of being able to focus would probably bring different results, particularly in conditions like this.
Yeah, certainly could.
I mean, going back to the endurance aspect, I would imagine that KV's iRacing exploits would probably stand him in good stead here if it stays like this, just for the longevity and the potential monotony of a drive like this.
24 hours at the Nürburgring. The iRacing team did at the weekend. Obviously, KV didn't do all 24 hours himself, but he was certainly involved, and
it was a very good performance from the guys. Thogbird, though, closing in on Thiago. Tom Robbo looking at him. Not quite close enough on any account, but Tom Robbo's going to he's going to poke the nose in. Yono right on the back of Snipes now. Only 7/10 away.
Yeah, Snipes maybe just decided it's time to manage this race a little bit.
Tom Robbo down the inside of Thogbird, picks up a penalty for his trouble. Now around the outside of 6. Keeps it inside the white line, crucially. But Thogbird keeps that position. The leading pair in a league of their own at the moment. Arbar nowhere near, and being unable to bridge that gap at the moment. But we're approaching, we're approaching the window for 2 stops.
I was expecting Yana to be up there with Snipes, if I'm being brutally honest. I think obviously he's driving on a wheel and the controller is probably superior in conditions like this, so Yana's doing a great job. To
be fair, we're saying that. Think back to Spain. When the wet conditions came in Spain, Yono was out in front. And it was only a mistake that he made on the safety car restart after that, where he dipped one of his slick tyres onto a damp patch of track that caused him to spin and retire, that cost him possibly victory there.
That was a mistake he'll want to forget.
Definitely. But he's proven his pace before in the wet, so I wonder, it could be a factor. Snipes' tyre is currently at 40%, Yorno not far behind. Arbar as well, burning through his, but burning through the fronts as well, the Renault.
Yeah, I wonder if Arbar's probably maybe running a full wet setup. That is possible.
It's a possibility, yeah.
It's with higher front wing, higher downforce in general, so the tyres will be suffering more.
Oh, we missed it. KV got ahead of Lewis. And the Racing Point falling down the order. Struggling, it seems, in this in the S section now, with both dirty air and worn tyres.
I'm sure KV will be delighted to finally be able to see the track instead of having a face full of spray.
Spark has stopped as well, I missed that. He stopped for fresh tyres.
Yeah, relatively early. I believe he did a wing change as well, as he had picked up a little bit of damage from his skirmishes.
So we'll see what happens with that. I can imagine that, well, I mean, he's now, I think, committed to a 2-stop. He could, in theory, make it to the end on those, but I wouldn't try it. If he can stretch those to lap 24, then stop and go to the end.
Yeah.
So
Tom Roberts hit a little bit of a lull in his position gaining. He's been stuck behind Thogbird and Thiago for a fair few laps now, and obviously we saw him last lap having a go at Thogbird, but
it'd be interesting to see what KV can do now he's got ahead of Lewis, whether he can bridge and attack these three, or whether he's going to sort of end up in a race on his own, really. Oh, Tom Robbo, well caught. back end there, stepping out in a tank slapper, and he's quickly to correct it with a handful of opposite lock.
Yeah, and
oh, Snipes and Yorna.
Snipes pits.
Snipes pits early. So he is committing to a two-stop, and he's going for an undercut.
Yeah, I was just looking at the Warner situation. Yeah, I saw that Yorna had got in front of Snipes on the task. I quickly glanced back over and Snipes pits. So I think that's him also committing to that two-stop. Tom
Robbo as well. He's pitted early. So he's going for an undercut on those two ahead of him, Thogbird and Tiago. Ali B is retired at the end of the S's, so that could be a safety car. It's a VSC.
Virtual safety car.
Doesn't really help anybody unless Spark wants to come back into the pits.
Yeah, I don't think there's much point in doing that.
Everybody's sort of in the wrong part of the track for that.
I think if anything, this will maybe just hamper Tom Robbo a little bit, as he doesn't get as much time to hit the track on those fresh tyres.
True, although it did bring him closer to the back of everybody else. They had to slow down while he was still in the pits, so yeah, it could be an interesting one. It could very much hinder Snipes, actually. Got very limited time to push, so track is now green. And they can push again.
Ooh, and Wisely Boy gets a drive-through. Speeding under the pits.
Snipes has just lost a couple of positions. Has he gone in there?
Yeah, he's
gone in the S's.
But
he's still going. Yorno's continued. So we'll see what happens with Yorno. Let's jump back now to the battle for P7. Thogbird and Tiago. They are both continuing.
Snipes has lost about 5 seconds or so by that adventure in the S's.
Yeah, and is now right within the grasp of his championship rival there in Tom Robbo. As we see Tiago and Matrix close together, Thogbird in the mix as well. You see Thogbird there pulling out of the slipstream of Tiago to try and, partly because of some wheel spin, but other than that, to try and get some view of what's going on. It's an absolute nightmare out there. And this is the lap I imagine we'll see people stop if they're going to commit to a two-stop strategy. Of course, we've had those two box early, trying to go for the undercut in their respective battles. Yorno, though, now I think is in a comfortable position to overcut Snipes because of his spin. He won't want to wait too long for that, though. Tiago and Thogbird are at risk from Tom Robbo, but I don't want to do the maths just yet in case we see people box. Yorno carries on. Arba continues, as does Bean. In fact, I think everybody else does.
Tom Robbo would jump Tiago and Thogbird as they're sitting behind Matrix, obviously picking up loads of spray and just in general harder to drive, and Tom Robbo's got a fair amount of...
Is that the wizard into the pits? Indeed it is.
Yeah, I think he maybe spun into the pits or something like that because his entry was very, very slow as Tom Robbo sets the fastest lap.
Yeah, he's got some significant wing damage there, the wizard as well. Tichy follows him in.
Putting the hammer down now.
People to keep an eye on. Let's watch Lewis. His tyres are not in a good place right now. He has entered puncture territory, albeit only just. But he's in there. It's the full wet tyre. One of the hardest compounds. Well, what's the equivalent to? Is it C4 or C2? It's one of the two medium compounds. Not C3, but either C2 or C4. I can't remember which is the harder of the two. I think it's C2 actually, the equivalent compound of rubber.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the gap to leader now, and Snipes has actually lost time to Yorno even after his spin, so he's still Donald's still going faster than Snipes.
Well, Snipes in traffic as well, and I mean, if Snipes was to stop now, he'd come out just behind Cavey, who is his teammate, so I would imagine there would be some manoeuvring there. Lewis is going to keep going here. Those rear tyres are now really not looking good. But I suppose if he's committed to a one-stop, he wants to try and get them as far as possible, and his teammate has come in this time round, so...
Yeah, obviously they'll still be communicating together.
Thogbird, he's going to be fed up with looking at the back of that AlphaTauri, and there we go. Ooh. Snipes, 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's I don't want to say a nail in the coffin, but that's certainly going to make his life a lot harder now. Yeah,
it's going to make it very difficult. He will probably need Yorno to pick one up as himself.
Yeah, he's only on 0 ones, so he's nowhere near.
Not yet, anyway. Long way to go yet in this race. We've got 22 laps remaining. Riding on board here with Lewis, whose rear tyres... honestly, they're going to be bolder than a Benedictine monk at this rate. That tread's going to have gone. As we see there, one of the Ferrari Snipes diving down the inside of Matt into the hairpin at the stadium section. Opportunistic move from the Ferrari driver up to 11th place. Lewis continues again. Snipes
stays out.
Thogbird and Tiago are in though, so now we'll see this battle for what will be net P7 once everyone stops.
Yes, Tom Robbo another fastest lap.
Yep, and has quite comfortably cleared those two, and Timmy in good measure. Snipes on the back of Lewis. Now almost pushing him through that corner. You can see him short shifting there, trying to get the power down up to 6th gear before he'd even broken 120 miles an hour. And a big lock up. He's really struggling actually in traffic. Snipes. Sector 3 yellow. That's
the tyres in the pits.
Yeah, that's 2 of the new guys out. I tell you, this is a baptism of fire for those who haven't raced.
Oh yeah, certainly.
It's back. Ooh. Steps out there. He's really not liking following traffic. And Lewis is possibly the worst man for him to be stuck behind, as Lewis runs very wide. There, I don't know if that was to let him through or if that was just through lack of grip at the rear. I can imagine it would be lack of grip, because
I just jumped on board because I thought he maybe had a puncture, but it doesn't look so.
No, I think he's
got to bit this lap.
Oh, I don't know, man. If he's going for the one stop, then no, he's got to go another 2 laps yet. But those tyres aren't making it.
Tyres are gone.
Yeah, and he does come into the pits. Matrix is in as well.
Yeah, and R-Bar has stayed out, and his tyres are the worst on the grid now that Lewis has decided to pit.
I think R-Bar will go for lap 18 and box. I think, to be honest, I think any of the guys who are out now are going to do the same thing. Matrix boxing, I think, is an undercut strategy, to be honest. He's actually got caught up right in between Thogbird and Tiago there, and he's fighting back against Tiago. It's going to be a drag race down towards turn 4. The Renault man has to tuck in behind, but Thogbird looking for an opportunity. Matrix around the outside of 4 to the inside of 5, and that will be the inside of 6 and 7 as well. It's going to be a bold move though. He's going to have to go on the power on the inside curb, and he's not going to pull that off. Side by side with Tiago now. He gets forced wide, and the AlphaTauri, I think... Gonchix has gone, yeah! He's still in the race. Wing damage for him though, and having just put on fresh tyres, that is going to be his race done, realistically. And I think, if anything epitomises the season that the young man there has had, I think it's that incident.
Yeah, I think that side by side in these conditions was always going to end in tears for somebody. As in the middle of that melee, Tom Robert actually picked up another 3-second time penalty. So he's on 6 seconds now.
But he is up to P7 and he's clear of all the traffic. Matt and Cavey came into the pits. We'll see Matrix box as well.
Did Arbar, actually.
Yes.
So he's come out only 5 tenths behind Snipes. So given the gap prior to that, he has just shows what a tricky stint Snipes has had so far.
And Arbar on fresh rubber as well, so might be able to make that count. Yorno will be praying so. Gap to the leader though from these two is 25 seconds. Snipes hasn't really closed up, and considering Yorno's tyres are 10 laps older than his, you'd have expected him to at least made up some ground. Granted, he's been in traffic, but still. Yorno, what do we think? This lap or next?
The guys who look at Don Ammer, his tyre wear is 47, 43, 61, and 59, and he's been on then since lap 1.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Yorno's in now, possibly a lap earlier than we would have expected.
Don Ammer pits, just as I was saying how good his tyre wear was.
I suppose there's no point in him going much further.
Well, actually, I get the AWS graphic now, so it must be time for the one-stop strategy.
Yeah,
so
lap 18 is...
to get those tyres.
Lap 18 across the halfway point. Yorno comes out in third place behind the two Mercedes, both of whom have to stop. And I'm hoping, for their sake, they're not both going to box this lap.
Yeah.
As we said last week, the pit crews in the F1 2020 game seem to be on Valium and can't do a proper stacked stop. Of course, real life, we've seen Mercedes do it, and Red Bull as well. Stacked stop will normally need around 5 seconds between cars to be able to pull that off. In the game, to be able to pull off sequential pit stops, you need 24 seconds between yourself and your teammate. 2.8 seconds then, the gap between Yorno and Snipes after their respective stops. Snipes committing to a 2-stop. Yorno can probably make it work with 1. Well, he's going to have to look after those tyres. Bean is in. What about Jamie? No, he carries on. Good call.
Yeah, Jamie's tyres are screaming like Lewis's were almost now, so...
We're slow in lap for Jamie, but it'll be quicker than having to stack behind his teammate. And we can see there, Bean comes out behind Tom Robbo. Although Tom Robbo as well is another driver who's committing to the 2-stop strategy. Timmy has boxed, drops him out of the points. As it stands then, right now, Ferrari would be Constructors' Champions. Snipes in third place, doing enough to secure them the victory. For AlphaTauri to overhaul them, Tom Robbo would need to get to first place and Thiago would need to get to third. Would also need for Ferrari to drop out of the points entirely.
Surprise of the day, pitches into 14th, and there's no points finishing 14th, but I certainly think he's done a pretty decent job to keep it where he is.
Once we see Arba now right on the back of Snipes in the gearbox of that Ferrari, as Snipes picks up another penalty for his troubles as well. It's not going his way.
Not at all, and yeah, that's him up onto 6 seconds along with Tom Robbo.
And Snipes is pitting. Snipes is pitting again.
He gets 5 seconds. Oh, and he's retired.
He's retired from the race in the pit lane. Now then, has he just thrown away the Constructors' Championship?
Well, it depends what Tom Robbo and Thiago do at the moment.
I think he might have done, you know. And I'll tell you what, there's still a chance here that Arbar could win the race and get himself promoted ahead of Ricky. Stranger things have happened. And he's got Tom Robbo for company, and the two Mercedes not far behind him either. But it's possible. It's definitely possible.
Snipes must have known how exciting his DNF would make it.
Well, shall we go with the fact that we think he might be trying to make a very potentially boring race much more interesting?
Yeah, I think that's the
we'll
best,
go with that
route to take here.
Okay, so as it stands then, AlphaTauri will be gaining themselves 21 points. That is not enough. They need 40 points to break even, and it would then go to count back. I'm not sure who would win it on count back, actually.
I don't know either.
I think if Tom Robbo won and it went to count back, I think he'd take it with one more victory.
Yeah.
Than Snipes, I think. Because it wasn't Snipes ahead in Azerbaijan. Tom Robbo won to draw them level at 5 apiece.
Yeah, so I think they were like going into Azerbaijan, and then I mean I was racing, so I wasn't paying full attention to what's going on at the front.
See, I'm asking you that, and Blades was checking things up for me last week. I'm asking you. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure there'll be someone in the chat who can do the maths for us. So there's still a lot to play for. Fastest lap, of course, will come into play. Yorno has it at the moment. If one of the AlphaTauris can get that, and they get first and third, they will take the Constructors' Championship by 1 point, assuming that Timmy can't get himself to P8 or higher. That's his target now, P8 or higher for Timmy, and the championship is Ferrari's, regardless of what AlphaTauri do.
Yeah,
no, P7 or higher, sorry, P7, because if AlphaTauri get a 1-2 and the fastest lap.
I think Tom Robbo's got some job on his hands with 6 seconds of time penalties. He's got to basically gain 12 seconds on Yorno throughout these next 14 laps.
Like we say, stranger things have happened. First, though, he needs to clear R-Bar, which is his immediate challenge. Jamie currently has the fastest lap. He's taken it away from Red Bull. Of course, all to play for on the final day in terms of Constructors' Order and Driving Championship Order as well, as it will denote when you can choose your teammate for next season and what car you're in. Little things in life. Teammate order, of course, goes in Drivers' Championship order. So the 4th place driver, traditionally in the championship, will get first choice as the top 3 are promoted. Will then work its way down the order to 17th place, as 18th, 19th and 20th will be relegated. The 3 promoted drivers from the tier below will then get their choice, and then the 3 relegated drivers from the tier above. And then a similar thing with constructors. The winning constructor, if any of their drivers didn't get promoted, so if it's AlphaTauri or Ferrari tonight, it would either be Timmy or Tiago, as the 2 other drivers have already secured their promotion. They will have the first choice of car for next season, and so on and so forth down the order until everybody has had a pick. Tom Robbo there, back end stepping out massively, bringing Bean back into play in the battle for the podium.
Yeah. Bean is certainly looking good for a podium here, if not second. No penalties, and I don't know his warning situation. He's on 2 warnings, so he needs to be careful, but it's certainly doable with a Mercedes driver.
Tom Robbo approaching the point where he'll want to stop for his second time, putting on his final set of 4 wet tyres to go to the end of the race. Probably be the end of the next time around.
Yeah, and Jorno's doing a great job of looking after his tyres. They look like they should be good for the end, so it's the Red Bull drivers to lose here.
When did he stop? Lap 17, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he's done 5 laps on them at the moment. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, he should be fine to get to the end on those, but that's what we'd expect. I might be pushing it a bit, you know. I think he needs to take it easy, look after them a bit.
Yeah, certainly.
The 2 Mercedes will comfortably make it from here as well, and probably Don Armo behind them too. So that at the moment would appear to be your top 5. Once Tom Robbo stops, that will drop him down to 9th place behind KV, roughly, I think. Actually, I should probably check that. If we go to gap to leader, costs around 25 seconds. Yeah, it'll drop in between Matt and KV.
Yeah.
Timmy on the back of the Wizard, but can't find a way through at the moment. Thogbird, as he has been for the whole race. Smack bang behind Tiago, and it's 3 Ecos drivers together in at 6th, 7th and 8th. Don Armo, Tiago and Thogbird.
Thogbird will be sick of the sight of the AlphaTauri gearbox, that's for sure.
Oh, and he picks up a
penalty.
As Tom Robbo pits then from 3rd place, giving Arbar some breathing room. Let's see, does it bring him out where we thought? Thogberd's coming into the pits. Is he going to stop again, or is this going to be another retirement? No, I think he's just stopping again. Oh, he's going for Inters.
Oh, Inters.
He's gone for Inters.
Yeah, no, I'm not convinced.
No,
definitely not
no,
convinced.
neither am I. Let's watch him. Let's ride on board and see. Is this going to be a Torval and Dean, or is it going to be a Bambi on ice? Let's be very careful on the brakes. He's going to have to stick to the darker line, the racing line where the water's been cleared. If he goes off it, then it's going to be. Well, it is going to be a skating rink.
Yeah, instantly. Yeah, he's dropping time to Timmy.
Let's just let's wait and see. Might have to get him warmed up a bit, get used to the new tyre. Because the Inter's still a decent tyre in the wet conditions. If there's a dry line there, it might have equal performance. It's a bold move, and I think you're right. I think, well, it's a little bit too early. As Jorno, has he made a mistake? He must have done, because Arbar's got ahead of him. The race leader is now Arbar. And Jorno's... Has Jorno disconnected?
I haven't got a message on my screen saying he has.
Either that or his car's in AI. Can you drop him an invite, Joel, just in case?
I can do, yeah.
Thank you. Race leader then is out of it. Arbar then in with a chance here of taking victory and securing promotion to EU1.
I can't invite the PS servers. They're gone.
Oh.
Like, I did get a message from Spud saying that the PlayStation servers were dead, but luckily everyone's been okay so far, but Jorno's gone.
Yeah, I will try and invite him back. I'm sorry everybody, you're going to have a blue screen while I do this. Big drama then in Mexico as we the servers are down. No joy in inviting Jorno back.
That's a shame.
It is, and he cannot get a break this season as we've got a Williams off. That's Matt. And he's in the wall, in the S's, Has to reverse back across the track. Set off. Has he got some damage? He has.
Yeah, he's going to need to pit.
As Tom Robbo takes the fastest lap then, so he's doing what he needs to at the moment. Tiago is ahead of him. And crucially, Timmy is not in the points yet. But they still need a 1-3.
I'm more interested about this battle for the lead. Bean and Arbar possibly looking to get himself into Tier 1, which, you know, thinking at the start of the season, you wouldn't have thought Arbar would be...
No, but he's
up there, but not.
Well, we said, didn't we? I think in our pre-season session, we said he's going to be one of the dark horses, but probably not a title challenger. And this would definitely suggest as much. He's there to pick up the pieces when your de facto winners aren't there. Although to be able to secure victory, he's going to need Bean to pick up 3 seconds. As Tichy's picked up some wing damage as well somewhere. But they're all going for inters, Joel.
Yeah. Has Matt gone for inters as well?
Yeah, he has.
So.
Yeah, Matt might be doing it as a barometer for Don Armo, to be fair. Tichy...
Thugbird's not having a nice time at all.
No, he's not.
So maybe Alfa Romeo's Jeff is just not the smartest Jeff out there.
Potentially. Looking at the timing screens, we've got wing damage for Jamie in 3rd place. The sister Mercedes then, they were running comfortably in P2 and 3. Jamie has damage which will promote Don Armo to 3rd. It's significant enough for him to have to stop as well. 57% on the right hand side. Bean then, 2 warnings for the Mercedes. We are on board with him.
And I believe this would be Don Armo's first podium back in...
Thugbird has retired in the pits.
EU2 since he's dropped down from EU1.
That promotes Timmy to a point scoring position. The pendulum swings again in the favour of Ferrari, if it ever swung the other way. Arbar is now on 5 warnings, so 1 more for him, and that, I believe, would be his victory charge over with. Bean needs to pick up another warning, and Arbar needs to keep it clean, and the victory could be the Renault man.
Yes, Thugbird's car's decided to
wander back out
right into the middle of the track.
Yeah. As Jamie does pit to repair that damage, that will promote Don Armo and Tiago, as well as Tom Robbo. It might even promote Timmy. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think it will. I don't think he was quite that far ahead, but he's also gone for intermediates.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether that must be what Jeff's telling them, surely, because no one in their right mind would believe this is the correct conditions.
Well, I'm just wondering if he's talking to Bean, then it could be another barometer. Also been overtaken by Timmy now, who needs 1 more position, and then it will require an AlphaTauri 1-2 to secure Constructors' Championship. They're not in a bad position at the moment, but they are a lot off the lead.
Yeah.
Remember, 2-3 is not enough either. It has to be a win, and then either 1st or 2nd place. Bean then chasing down Arbar, who is our on-track leader. But 3 seconds of penalties for the Renault driver at the moment mean that the Mercedes behind him is favourite for victory. Of course, 1 mistake could change all of that in either case. 1 mistake for Arbar will put him out of the running more or less completely. 1 for Bean would bring it right back in the balance.
This would be Bean's maiden EU2 victory. So he'll want this. just as much as Arbar.
He certainly will. Of course, Bean has won races before in AM1. So, like you say, it would be his first since venturing across the pond. That's Tom Robbo.
3 more seconds.
Yeah, that's a lot of penalties for him. That's 9 seconds now for the champion. And that, I would imagine, barring some sort of miracle, is going to be the constructors' fight over for AlphaTauri, and it will be going back to Maranello with Timmy.
Yeah, they certainly gave it their best shot, AlphaTauri, especially with Tom Robbo not having a teammate pretty much for all season, or at least a consistent teammate, with various drivers dropping in and out of that second AlphaTauri seat.
Been pushing Arbar all the way. He's not resting on his laurels. As Matt picks up another penalty.
Flag in sector 3, I don't know what else for.
I think it's for a slow-moving Tichy, who is back in the pits. Cavy's picked up damage as well, somewhere along the line, currently in P6. Timmy now up to 7th. If he stays there, which he may do after penalties, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Not at the moment, he won't. He needs to get himself clear of the wizard. But if KV pits to repair that damage, that's it. We do if Timmy stays in P7. And KV has pitted, I believe. No, it's just TAS giving me a dodgy reading.
Yeah, so Bean and Arbar gaps staying pretty similar over the past few laps.
Inside a second between those two.
I wonder what Arbar's tyres are like.
60% he's on to now. 4 laps to go though.
Yeah.
He can do it.
What they've done 5 laps and they were on 20%, so he will be screaming towards the end.
Yeah, they. So we've got an AlphaTauri into the pits, I think.
Oh, that's Tom Robbo, he's spun it. Coming round the final corner.
Oh, and that's big wing damage for him as well, and he's really not having fun there.
You can't get it going.
Thankfully, he had a fairly big gap behind him there to Timmy, although Timmy's going to overtake him now.
Yeah,
Tom Robbo can't keep it in a straight line, look.
That's the nail in the coffin then for the Constructors' Championships.
Yeah.
It's going back to Maranello.
Yeah, Ferrari will take it then in EU2, assuming all stays as is. It could all change though. Still got 4 laps to go, and stranger things have happened. It seems to be a phrase we use a lot, but it's true, they have, as the Wizard makes his way through into 7th place. Did Yono manage to get back in, or is it still a go? No, Yono's car is still ghosted. This is just the performance that man had. He's still in the points. Yeah,
I'd expect to see his ghost dropping out the points. I don't know what the AI level's on in this session. But
it's on 41, so the basic. As we see Matrix there go through.
Not the trickiest of AI, that's for sure.
Yeah, Bean right behind Arbar again at the end of the straight, not close enough to make a move.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but the conditions almost look to have got worse. Maybe that's just because I'm on board with Bean right behind Arbar.
I think so, from the spray. If you come back to the broadcast cameras, you can see there's not quite as much spray now. There's definitely a drier line appearing, which is probably why Inters are being recommended, although those guys who went on them earlier have now gone back to the full wet. Wisey Boy the only man on intermediates, and he's only just put them on. So it has been storm conditions since about lap 3, and it's stayed there. So air and track temperature dropping all the time, as you would expect with cold water being poured on them constantly.
Yes. Tom Roberts crawled his way back to the pits and
retired in the pits.
Retired.
That's understandable. It was an admirable effort of a last to first from our newly crowned champion, but it wasn't to be tonight. The glory will go to, as it stands, someone from the other side of the Atlantic. I was going to say Pacific then. No, wrong ocean. The other side of the Atlantic.
So
either an American
drivers
or a Canadian.
Leading by some margin here.
14.8 seconds to Donamo in third. And then Tiago just behind him. Because penalty situation as it stands right now. Timmy has picked up another penalty, but he might be able to clear the wizard in that time. He'll definitely be clear of Matrix. So I would imagine that 7th is definitely there for him, although AlphaTauri can't win it now that Tom Rubber has retired. So Constructors has been secured for Ferrari. It's all about the race victory then now as the Wizard pits. Very odd decision there from the Wizard, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was on for some good points. P6, P7, but yeah, I don't have any reason why he would do that, to be honest.
What does that do for his... Kavey's disconnected now. And I wonder whether it's a PS5 error or PS5 problem. I believe Kavey will have enough of a gap to Timmy behind him to be able to keep P6. He's also clear of penalties. Tiago puncture. Tiago has a puncture.
Oh yeah.
He's got a puncture, and that's left rear puncture for Tiago.
Oh my god, I mean, we knew this race would get exciting, but with people disconnecting.
Yeah, and
punctures.
He's going to have to now... Now, does he stop? Does he keep going?
I mean, I think if he doesn't stop, he'll just crash.
Timmy's got Kavey, though. That's because Kavey's car pitted him.
Yeah. Oh my god.
No, Kavey.
This is a... I don't know, someone somewhere does not like Red Bull. That's for sure. Oh, and Tiago's gone. He's spun it. He's on a grip, I think.
His right rear is close to puncturing as well, and if that goes, then getting back to the pits is going to be very, very difficult. As we see the AlphaTauri crawl around the circuit. It was a very, very admirable performance from him, to be fair. But ultimately not to be, as Timmy goes into 4th place.
Yeah, so I mean, the constructors are certainly Ferraris now.
And I'm surprised we've not had something. Well, I'll be honest, I'm surprised Tiago's only lost 1 position so far. Doing very well to bring it back to the pitch, struggling with the left-hand turns. Of course, that would be the tyre that's then loaded up, but that rear right is taking a pounding, and I would not be surprised if that doesn't puncture before the end of the lap. 90% wear on it right now. And I think the scary thing is Tiago's not going to drop out of the points with this.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fully on his driving skill. He's driven a great race, and he deserves points from this race.
Certainly does.
Arban now is, for the last time, crawling through this S section with Bean behind him. Bean wants to pick up that penalty, and you would really hope for Bean's sake that he doesn't now. That would be a real shame on the last lap.
It would, but it would be deserving for Arban to take the victory. 4/10 in it at the moment. Bean's not going to make a mistake now, surely. All he's got to do is keep it clean for 1 corner, as we see the Renault then of Arban will come across to take the victory on track. But it's Bean who will take victory as he loses it over the line there. The Mercedes driver will win the race, and we're still waiting for 3rd place. That's Donamo. Solid drive from him in the wet. We know he's good in these conditions. He takes third place. Timmy, after a horrendous qualifying session, and to be honest, not the best of races, but he's kept himself in it.
Yeah.
If the Wizard had stayed on track, things might be different, but the Ferrari man will come across the line to take fourth place. And not that it matters after Tom Robbo's retirement, but they will win the Constructors' Championship for the Scuderia. Matrix has recovered to fifth, actually, which, after that contact with Thiago earlier on, makes you wonder what might have been. We could have been looking at a Matrix podium, which would have been brilliant for everybody because he interviews like an absolute hero. Lewis gets sixth place, but the Wizard takes it on penalties, so seventh for the Racing Point. Jamie in eighth. KV, his ghosted car, will probably take ninth. He's going to get ninth place. Thiago will take 10th off him on penalties, was that? Or no, because KV was clean, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Although
KV's 10th on my screen, I don't know whether that's just completely dropped him down due to him being AI.
Potentially, yeah. Well, I think it's safe to say though that car crossed the line in ninth place. Thiago in 10th. Yorno's car coming home in 11th. Which is fairly impressive, actually, considering how long he spent in AI, just how far ahead he was from the rest of the pack. Bean then taking his first European victory.
Yeah, it's home circuit as well.
Yeah,
Didn't realise that.
Well, according to the flags anyway. Of course, we never can be sure. I race with Icelandic. Arbar in second place, then so close, yet not quite enough. Donamo in third to round off the podium. A fantastic performance there from him, representing Contest of Speed. Timmy fourth, Matrix fifth, Wizard in sixth on penalties. That pit stop actually probably gained him a place at the end there. Lewis in seventh place, Jamie eighth, Thiago says in ninth, but I would imagine that KV will probably get that on reflection. Yorno just misses out on points in 11th, Matt 12th, Wisey Boy 13th, Tichy 14th as your finishers, and your retirees: Tom Robbo 15th, Thiago 16th, Snipes 17th, Spark 18th, and Ali B 19th. It seems a very long time ago, Joel, that we were talking about those guys retiring.
Yeah. 60-minute race, someone said in the chat. That's a long time.
That is a fair whack. Would you do me the honours of inviting the podium places, please, Joel?
If I can, yeah.
Yeah, if we can, then we will have a chat to them. Let's get the Mercedes up on the pedestal. And reflect on a season that's had highs, lows, spectacular overtakes, spectacular crashes, actually. But just thinking about it, never mind, Donamo's here.
Hello.
There we go. Let's have a chat to you then while you're here. How was it, Noah, for you? We all know you're good in the wet, but
Yeah, it was one of the first times I finished a race in the wet on the wheel. It was a fight for me, but I enjoyed it, and I was competitive with what is like great.
yeah. It's not a bad way to finish the season off with a podium, though, especially at a track like Mexico, which isn't a lot of people's favourites. Just is it one of yours, or is it one of those where it's sort of just get it out of the way and be done with it?
I don't mind it, but also I'm not very quick here. But I was disappointed with quali because I was so much quicker and validated. And I think if I had not had 3 kilograms or like 3 laps of fuel too much in my car, and maybe been 2 or 3 places further up, I would have maybe be able to stick with the other guys. I like the track.
Yeah, so it was a good drive from you. Well done. Congratulations on P3.
Thank you.
Rest up and we'll
to the others.
we'll see you next season.
Yeah.
P2 then, Mr. Kraft.
Hello.
How many like hexes and curses were you trying to throw out the back of your Renault for being to pick up a penalty?
Well, I was surprisingly calm because when we loaded into the session in qualifying, I kind of just went out on track, and then I looked on the stream comments, and I think Maddie said it was all wet, and I was on an all dry setup, so I was kind of just happy not to put into the wall, and I, by the time we got to the end, and Dean still hadn't picked up the penalty, there was no anger, there was just sadness and futility left.
Now, this might be a silver lining to your cloud of defeat, or it might be some more vapour to inflate that cloud further, but you missing out on victory means that you stay in EU2 for next season, and Ricky goes up to EU1.
Oh, really? It
yeah.
was that close?
Yeah,
I thought Ricky had me.
No, he was 24 points ahead of you.
Oh, you know what? Dean drove a great race. He deserved the win. Props to him. Holy. Wow.
Yeah. So we were once the leaders disconnected, retired, crashed, and we saw you out in the lead. It was a twist worth keeping an eye on, just to see what happened.
I can't do math because I looked at the standings before and I was like, could I actually get third? And I did a quick maths in my head and I was like, nah, even if I win. So I can't add.
Yeah, I think you had to win, but it was that close. But, I'd say though it was a solid drive from you, man, and I think possibly the one of the better performances I've seen from you in a long time. So
thanks.
Good job.
I don't know. It's the wet I think is what I find most comfortable, especially like in the EU tiers. I find pretty strong. So
yeah.
I know it's good. Thanks.
No worries. So race winner then, Bean Sandwich, SMM Bean. Is he not here? I thought I saw him join.
He doesn't have a mic and he can't join.
Bean!
I have a quote from him.
Go for it.
Can't join party. GG's though.
Solid. What a way to end the season. Thank you all for watching. We hope to see you again very, very soon. Stay tuned to COS Social Media. We're taking a 2-week break from racing, but we will be back with some more fun events before the end of this year's game and the start of Season 8. Ooh. So stay tuned for all of that. Tune in later on in just under an hour and a half's time for AM2. And make sure to tune in tomorrow and Thursday for the races there as well. Not forgetting Endurance Friday and Saturday. We'll see you all next time. Thank you all again for watching. Good night.